Um, so I figured I'd go over the story of the houses with you. It's my favorite story. Because to me, I mean, I can't say I wrote the story, but I saw the story. Like, to me, the story makes sense. So, the story of the houses is the story of consciousness. As above, so below. As within, so without. Just like a dream is a mirror of the subconscious mind and the soul, so is life. So, as the sun rises from the east and sets in the west, you would reverse that, polarize it, and have it going the opposite way for the houses. Now, um, let's see where to begin. So, generally, we know of the houses as being the areas in our lives that the things play out in. Um, you'd want to reflect that to the signs as we know it. So, 12th house is ruled by Pisces. Of course, you have your Libra there and your sun sign. But if we envision it being Pisces, we could say that the 12th house, the house, as they call it, the house of the underworld, it's the house of all of your karmic debt from every past life combined. It is the void. The 12th house is the eternal void. We can consider it as being the depths of the depths of the depths of the deepest depth. And out from the void, out from the depths of the void, there was light. The first awareness, we could say. We could say it as the 12th house, Pisces, is forever, eternity. And then the first house, Aries, is the birth. The first I am consciousness. Now, I know of this as in from a near-death experience that I had. I was in the void, and I could not see myself. I had no body. I had no being. All I knew was agony and fear and restlessness. It was like being flung around in every direction forever. And there was a graspingness, like I was trying to reach and grasp for identity, for a sense of self, for a sense of who am I, what am I. There were no words. I had no knowledge of words, no memories of anything. And out from that, there was the birth of my consciousness to climb back. I grasped onto something, a sense of self. And for me, it was a memory. The memory was love, the feeling of love. And I was born, reborn into consciousness. But that shows that graspingness, that always searchingness, that aggressiveness shows a very key part of Aries, the first house, the I am, the sense of self that comes out of the void. It needs to exist. The I am that is Aries, it shouts out, I exist, I am. It's a very fiery sign, right? That would be the birth, right? And we could call it a birth as in completely reflective of all births, of all life. For instance, this would be the baby born. The baby born screams, ah! It wants food. It doesn't really have an understanding that others exist other than itself. It is completely of existence and self-awareness, the I am. But as the baby gets older, it understands that it likes things. It has senses of the world, earth, Taurus, second house. The baby realizes, oh, I like milk. Oh, I like it when my mom cuddles me. I like it when I get attention. So it understands its values, its worldly values. Taurus is the earth sign, second house. Second house rules the house of values, material values to the material world. The baby understands what it likes, what it is. It knows what it is as it came out from the first house Aries, the I am. So now it knows that, and now it understands the world as compared to itself. Just as consciousness coming out from the void of Pisces, the light. The light would not know it is the light, because the light would shine out into the void, and all it would reach is darkness, until the consciousness that I am looks within and sees itself and sees that it is light. And once there is light, that it knows it is light, it understands the duality, the yin-yang. It understands the polarity. It understands, though, I am light and there is void. And within this too, I can create. And then it becomes third house, house of communication, ruled by Gemini. Now, your Gemini is up over here. Gemini, people call it air. So we would say it's the first air sign. I don't like to say that at all. I like to say it as the element of light, because it is consciousness. It is the first sign of intellect, and that's what the air represents, right? The air in the elemental astrology, that's intellect. Now, Gemini sign used to be the symbol of two spheres, two circles, and a bridge in between. That's two understandings of value. You have the I am, light, and then you have the there is, the void. And when you bridge them both, you have the Holy Trinity. The third sign of communication. It also, in the third house, it rules people that are close to you, brothers, sisters, siblings, cousins, uncles, aunties, and neighbors. Right? Because those people that are close to us as we grow up, first we are the baby, then we understand our values, and we get a little bit older. And then we start to get to know the people around us. We get to know our brothers and sisters, our cousins, and our uncles and aunties, right? As a friendship basis. Then, the baby gets a little bit older. The consciousness gets a little bit older. There's the fourth house. House of the mother. House of home. Cancer is also understood as the mother. Fourth house is ruled by Cancer, the first water sign. As God looked out across the void and saw the waters of Pisces, realized it is the I am, realized the duality of the yin-yang, became the Holy Trinity, and created Mother Earth. Creation. I like to say the fourth house is the ruler of Mother Nature, because out from the Holy Trinity began the Earth. Mother Earth. Cancer. Cancer is very loving, protective. It is the mother. It is trust. Trust and faith. So the mother and the baby create a bond here. And the mother says, okay, you're old enough now. I trust you enough. Now you can go out and play with your friends. Go out and play. And so the baby, now child, goes out and plays with his friends, does his hobbies. Fifth house, Leo. Leo's of passion, drive, fun things. I like to call the fifth house the house of sin. Now, of course, sin, we claim sin is, the bad thing. But isn't sin a prerequisite to free will? You cannot have free will without sin. It is entirely linked to free will. In fact, the definition of sin comes from an ancient Hebrew word meaning to miss the mark. So it's the effort, but not quite getting it. Sin doesn't necessarily mean evil. It just means making a mistake. And isn't that what hobbies and passions are all about? We make those mistakes. Fifth house, the fire sign, just like Aries. Aries, the I am, struggling in the void, grasping, reaching. Well, isn't that the same thing as Leo? Fifth house, having fun, making mistakes, coming straight out of the home. The mother, the fourth house, Cancer. Then, as in relations to the third house, you would have the child growing up, going into the sixth house. Sixth house is the gifts to others. It is what we give on to others because we want a relationship. Seventh house, Libra. So sixth house is Virgo. Sixth house is the I analyze. It's an earth sign, just like Taurus. The sixth house is the concept of working. I've already made the mistakes of my sins from Leo. I already have the trust of my mother to leave my house. Now I am going to work for relationships. Seventh house, Libra, ruled by Libra. And the seventh house would be the second intellect sign, the second air sign, or air light sign. I like to say it's light. In the tarot, we would consider this the hanged man. Well, I like to consider it the hanged man. So you have a relationship here with sixth and seventh house and eighth house. This is a very, very distinct one because the sixth house is the gifts put into the relationship, and eighth house is what comes back, the karmic debt that comes back to the relationships. Eighth house is the house of karmic debt from our relationships, from relationships with others. It's ruled by Scorpio. So let's say you put something good into a relationship, eighth house would give you good things. If you put something bad into the relationship, well, Scorpio wouldn't be too fond of that. From eighth houses, they call it the house of death and rebirth as well. And after that, after the now young adult has learned from its relationships, made the mistakes of what it put in, what was wrong to put in, what was right, it realizes and learns its ideology. Ninth house is spirituality, ideology, the teacher, the archer, ruled by Sagittarius. It now has its goals, its aims. It understands what's right and what's wrong to itself. Now all that's left is 10th house to 12th. 10th house is clubs. We like to say that it is groups, organizations, things with that sort. But of course, when you look at what it's ruled by, which is Capricorn, Capricorn is the final earth sign, the final evolution of the earth sign in people. So the thing is that Capricorn, although they are great at working with others, they're still very solo. They're still very, it's more of I will do my work, but only from a position that I don't have to rely on others. It has that very earthly feel, which does not fulfill itself. So it must have the intellect of Aquarius, 11th house, the humanitarian. I like to consider the 11th house the house of humanity and fame. Fame is in that if the 5th house opposition, if the 5th house Leo is the person doing the tap dance or a person on stage, then this is the stage and the person on it, you on it, and the 11th house is the crowd and the viewers. This would be also you'd also be able to consider it as the karma of what you would sin from, depending on what you would sin from in the 5th house or make mistakes of or do well in. and uncover in yourself, the 11th house would shine that back to you through fame, fortune, judgment, but also it's very much a intellect sign. So it's basically the evolution of the self coming in to pour out the waters of emotion back to you, the Aquarius, the water bearer. And those emotions that pour out go straight into Pisces, the depths of the void. This is the house of the void, house of the underworld ruled by Pisces. It is the final death. It is acceptance, letting go, and entire emotion, overwhelming, I guess, in some ways, but also very underwhelming of the soul.